So welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders, their backgrounds, their successes and challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And today I'm delighted we have back with us Chris Rose, who's co-owner and MD at Dare Studios. So firstly, Chris, thank you for coming back and talking to us a little bit more about your journey. And if you'd like to introduce yourself, Dare Studios, we know we just talked slightly about a rebrand that you've had and what you do, how you help people, and that would be wonderful.
Yes, hi, Chris. It's lovely to speak with you again after what seems like a long time, but apparently was not quite so long. But that's fantastic. So lots happened. We've now, I think we touched on the fact that we were doing something in the background. We've now rebranded the business,
Yep.
and we're called Dare Studios. So to give it a short history behind that,
Yep.
we were 2020 Creative, which was
Yep.
born out of a studio that went into liquidation. I bought all the assets. And some of the staff came across, and one of those team members from the original staff is now a shareholding director, which is great news. And we were a photographic studio, realizing in a changing world and with amazing camera phones, many people can take their own pictures. And in all fairness, a lot of them are pretty good. You can't knock them really. However, the market we were in, which is primarily large furniture, room sets, things like that, that's predominantly what we do. It's not everything we do.
Yes.
That would become a diminishing market as AI, CGI, and things took hold. And actually, we were running quite successfully and making profit year on year. And then I think because of that, we took our eye off the ball a little bit and became a little bit complacent. And because of that, our turnover actually flatlined. So we stopped growing. It took us a couple of months to realize that. And then we put a plan into action to change the business into a content production studio. So we don't just take photographs, we do a lot more videos, stop motions, and we actually hire the studio out now to other people, other companies to come in. It's a huge facility. It's 4,000 square feet, fully equipped.
I remember.
We allow other people to come in and they can tap into any of the services that we offer. They can either completely take over the building, or we can provide some services to complement their requirements.
Wow. That sounds right. So just on that, so let make sure people can understand that. So what sort of companies would come and do that? Just to, even though if somebody's watching, what sort of companies would come and hire your studios?
Yeah, so we've had marketing agencies put their TikTok teams in. So we'll on that occasion we had to build room sets for them. And they asked us to light them so they look like real rooms. And we had a series of room sets around the building, and they came in with phones and did TikTok content. And funnily enough, we'd never created any TikTok content. So that was a bit of an eye-opener to us to see how this works. It was quite interesting. And the rules in creating TikTok content is realism. And of course, we were often creating a fantasy aspirational view of how a room would look, and they want a real view of how, warts and all, so to speak. So that was an eye-opener for us that, you know what, sometimes it doesn't have to be highly curated.
It's funny you say that, because we had to make a decision when we first started. It was more necessity than anything when we started, was do we make these high production values, or is it just two guys talking on Zoom? And it made it easy to be just two guys talking on Zoom. It was okay if there's the odd stutter. It's okay if people are at home, as they were during lockdown, a dog jumps up or a child walks in. It's just real life, and I think it's sort of, you've got to be one end or the other. I feel somewhere in the middle where you're attempting high production values and failing probably makes you look less professional than if it's just, as I say, this is very much bare bones Zoom recording.
Yes, so we also made our studio more adaptable. So we've invested not huge sums compared to some businesses, but about 60 or 70,000 pounds we've invested in the business in the last 6 months to purchase a different kind of lighting equipment. So we can take a picture, flick the camera, it's a video now. It's so simple. So we now shoot probably 50. We were hoping that within a year, 50% of our turnover would be video production. That actually has caught me out, because it's a lot harder to break into that when you've never done it. But we're up to about 15% now, and that's growing. It's starting to pick up pace, is that now? So, and we've had to learn that. You know, we were photographers, we can light, but a high-end video camera is a completely different beast to a stills camera.
Right.
We're having to learn new skills. So what we did was we sat back and we thought, you know what? We don't really want to employ loads of people. There are 3 of us that own the business, and we're the only employees now. But what we have is about 10 or 11 people who we used to call freelancers, and we now call them associates. And the reason is a freelancer seems to undervalue what they're capable of. These are people that come back into our studio every month, working with us every month. They know the building better than us, some of them, and they do a great job with a specific skill set.
Right.
So we work with several stylists who can style rooms and things. We work with several photographers who come in and complement our skill sets, or when we're busy, they work alongside us. We work with production people. We've brought production people in. Even though we do production, we brought people in so they can learn from us. We can learn from them. And we also try to collaborate a lot more. So we do. I don't want to promote it, but we do a bit of free stuff. If something rocks our boat and we like it and it's non-commercial, not for profit, we try and get involved in it wherever we can. And in fact, on Saturday, we're going to a boxing club, and a chap who works with us on the video side, on video editing, has decided he wants to make a music video. And we felt we wanted to support him. He's supported us for the last 6 or 8 months in our journey, and we want to support him in his journey. And he's now decided he doesn't want to create a large content production business. He wants to be a micro company and do the stuff he really likes to do. Of course, he doesn't have the resources that we have, so we're allowing him to tap into those resources. The only caveat to that is you can't make a profit out of it. You know, if we give him our services for free, you don't make money out of that. You know, so that's working really well. Although we have had quite a lot of people come to us. I go to a lot of networking events now and reach out to as many people as I can. We're trying to build our networks. But we do have a lot of people who misunderstand the concept and just seem to think that they would like to come into our building, our huge building, and use it for free and make some money out of it on the side. You know, so some people don't quite get it, but we get in there, and we're now trying to surround ourselves with people who are like-minded, people who have a vision, not necessarily our vision, but a vision. But also now we're trying to reach out to a lot more students, and we've actually formed links with several universities, and we bring students in. And in fact, one guy that's been with us on and off now, we use him on a freelance basis. He's actually on our payroll on a freelance basis. So when we're busy, we just invite him in. So he's a student, he understands how we work, and he comes back and he's a valuable team member. And that's something we're trying to do even more now. So there's a lot more giving back than we used to do. And funnily enough, through all that, we've had some massive challenges. I think people come onto LinkedIn, they come onto podcasts and they go, we're amazing, we're amazing, we're amazing. And I've never said we're amazing. You know, we do what we do and we try and do the best we can. But gosh, have we had some tough times. And I'll give you one example. In January of this year, 2024, we were fully booked. And about a week before all the work started, I was in Barcelona taking a short vacation. Everything got cancelled. Everything. I could not believe it. I was bricking it. And of course, to run a studio the size of ours is not a cheap thing to do. So when I came back from Barcelona, we re-looked at the business again to see what was going on. And actually, after over 4 years in business as 2020 and Dare, we noticed something we'd never really looked at before, because we were just becoming a bit too complacent with everything. And everything that we photographed was imported. Everything. There was nothing manufactured in the UK. We'd never really thought about this before. So we do a lot of e-commerce work, and all the e-commerce companies that we work with import products. And every time there's a world event, of course, we have a problem. Something gets stuck in another country. It gets stuck in a container on the ocean. Houthi rebels, Turkish earthquakes, Ukraine war. All these things have an impact, and that's made me really think, and made me a little bit sad as well, that the amount of stuff we import in this country, because I'm at the age now where, you know, manufacturing in Great Britain was fantastic, and we used to manufacture a huge amount. And in my lifespan, that's diminished hugely.
Yes.
So we're now trying to reach out to UK manufacturers, and it's not just because it's a flaw in our business model that everything's imported, because we feel that's a flaw, but also we do want to support British industry wherever we can. That's really important to us. So some significant changes since I last spoke to you in the way we operate, the way we run our business, and the content we now produce.
Wonderful.
That's a summary.
And great. I mean, what interesting times. And you know, specifically with rebranded, how have you? What are some of the things you've learned about introducing, you know, the rebranded, introducing to existing clients who will go, you know, you 2020? How has that gone? What have you learned about that rebrand for yourself?
That's been incredibly challenging, and that's the part I thought would be the easiest.
Right.
And even yesterday, a client who we've worked for under the old brand, and we now work for under the new brand, and we use new email addresses, and he still uses the old email address. He doesn't want to use the new email address, even though we always reply from the new email address, and simple things like that. And he sends things, it's flooring, and he sends things, and it's always addressed to the old business. Now, what we have done is we are 2020 Creative Limited, trading as Dare Studios. So for the transition, we thought it would be better to do that, and then decide whether to make or to call ourselves Dare Studios Limited or something like that. So
Brilliant. So
of course there are lots of Dare Studios out there in this country and others. So we've had to overcome that small obstacle as well.
So you've almost like connected past and present together for a period so that people get that understanding that we're going from here to here.
Yeah, we tried to do that, but it sort of didn't work. The historical clients sort of weren't interested. They just wanted us to be the old company, and that's all they knew. However, the problem with that was they perceived us to be the same business, and we're not the same business now. We literally are we can offer the same services that we offered before, and we do. However, our services and offerings have increased significantly.
Yes.
So we're a much more rounded business that's now preparing us, as I said earlier, for CGI, AI. CGI is well down the road. AI, we're already using that. We're already using that to benefit clients, to lower costs, increase productivity. Also, simple things like putting a ceiling in a 6-meter room set. It costs a huge amount of money to do it physically. To do it in AI is relatively inexpensive by comparison.
Brilliant. And I would imagine we do a lot of work with clients on this. Is often clients or existing clients, they only really know us for what we have delivered to them historically. So
yes,
what I mean by that is I've never ever worked with a business where all their client where they haven't had at least one client go, oh, I didn't know you did that. I've just brought that down the road. And
yes.
And I would imagine with the rebrand and having so many more services that the education of your existing clients to understand that, and so that they make sure they engage with us if they have that requirement is quite key to building. And obviously it's a very effective way to build sales because you've already worked with people that know, like, and trust you.
Yes. But what we did experience some of those problems, and still do actually. So of course, how we tried to get around that with the rebrand and the current marketing, the future marketing, we've increased our marketing budget to about between 15 and 20% of the turnover of the business.
Right.
So between 15 and 20% of the turnover of the business, and we're starting to become more aggressive in marketing.
Great.
Although we don't want to be a multi-million pound business, that's never been our intention. We do always want to stay to be relatively small and enjoy what we do. It's about enjoying what we do and delivering a great service.
Yes.
But we did appoint, and I'll mention it because you know her, is Claire from Trio Media.
Yes.
And Trio Media have been helping us on that journey and still are. And
brilliant.
And even that has been an up and down journey, because as we know, marketing is not an exact science, and you try something, it works really well, then all of a sudden it stops working, and you don't know why it stops working, and then you realize Google have changed the algorithms, and but that's something that we use specialist services, and Claire's business is still moving forward at a pace, I believe. So
brilliant, absolutely. And obviously that the rebrand and this whole new development of what you're doing is a major win in itself. But are there any other sort of notable wins that you've had over this last 9 months or so since we last spoke?
We've had one of the best turnover months we've ever had.
Congratulations.
So we know things are starting to kick in, but we've also had one of the best turnover months by working the least amount of days for the proportionate turnover.
Interesting.
Because we're changing how we work now and how we deliver a service.
Yep.
And what we've now realized, I think it's important to be fair in business, but we realized we were probably giving too much away for free.
Yep.
And then the problem we found is our personal experience is if you give it away for free, the client gives it no value.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. We think we're giving value, and they're actually going, well, if it's free, then it's not worth anything. And
Yes.
It's
Yes.
not. Funnily enough, we used to in my first business, we used to we came to the point where we started to invoice our client, and then with a 100% discount. So we've just done this, and it's worth £5,000, but
Yes.
we've given it to you free, so we'll discount it by £5,000 and zero. So at the very least, they knew they were getting £5,000 worth of services or product or whatever it would be.
Yes.
But without that, to me, let's be fair, without educating them, they can't know. So it's really important we educate them in the value of the things
Yes.
that they're getting for free.
Yes, although we have been caught out on that one. We do exactly the same, and we've recently done a quite a large job. It's in the tens of thousands, and we couldn't quite hit the budget spend that the client had. So because the job was so large, we decided to absorb some of the costs.
Yep.
And some of the costs are when we've done a large job, we have to clear the studio, and it can take several days. And of course, that studio's out of action, so we do charge a charge for it. We discounted that out to zero.
Yep.
And marketing is discounted from this to zero. But then what happened was we worked so efficiently on the project, we finished ahead of time. So we went back to the client and said, we finished ahead of time. So we're actually under budget by £1,000. Can we now reintroduce some of those discounted costs? And you can guess what the answer was, can't you?
That's disappointing, I have to say, for you,
Yes.
because it's like you did your thing, but yeah, okay. I'll have a think about that offline, because there must be a slight variation on that part.
Well, I think we're going to put a caveat in there now and say if we become more efficient, we save you money, but there are areas where we've discounted it to zero, we reserve the right to bring those costs back in to not go over your budget.
Yeah, I guess because that's the quotation stage. So it's okay to say we're going to quote it to zero on the basis that this is how much it's going to cost. But if it costs less, then we will charge. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
But we're working on that. That took us all by surprise, and I had a very long telephone call with a particular client who thought it really was within their right to still claim those zeroed out discounts.
Yeah.
The problem with that is, I think some clients, and this is the way we run our business. So I'm not blaming the clients. I'm blaming our kindness and our charity and the way we package that. If we put ourselves in a position where a client think that's okay, then we're not doing something right. It's not them. They want to save as much money as they can. It's us that needs to change the way we operate, and we're doing that now. But ultimately, then some of the clients will just end up paying potentially a real cost rather than occasionally a subsidized cost. But we have done something else. We try to keep being creative, and we've done something else because we genuinely know that for some businesses, money is tight. And we have seen marketing budgets slash significantly. So we've introduced something recently. It's called Snatch Space. You can push a job into our studio, and we will guarantee we'll do it within a 28-day period, but we can't tell you when.
Oh, nice.
If we get a gap or it's time to slot that in, we will do it. You will get a 20% discount.
Love it.
The flip side of that is, again, we've learned from experience, the agreement is when you book the job in, you pay the invoice up front, and within 28 days, you will get that job done, but you'll get a significant discount. So, and actually, some of our clients are picking up on that, and some are working. We've just got to make sure that we don't become a 20% discount store. That's not what we're trying to do. But if you're prepared to wait a month for your work, and we have a gap.
I mean, it feels to me from hearing that 20% is the real value to you of being able to schedule things really effectively. So
Yes.
it's, as you say, it's not, it isn't a discount in terms of we're going to give you something that we don't really want to give you.
Yes.
It's interesting because the flip of that, the flip side of that, which may or may not be relevant for you, was I remember working with an engineering, a precision engineering company, and they were always getting last minute jobs, and they were getting people coming in, can you just, and
Yeah.
we did the reverse of that. And what it meant was everyone was working overtime, and they didn't really want to, so they were all working 110% of the time. It was
Yeah.
always, very challenging from a quality perspective because it was rushed. So what they said was, we will we'll maintain the price, providing you, in their case, let's say, order with a 2 week lead time.
Yeah.
Anything less than that, I think it was 1 week actually. Anything less than that, we are going to reserve 10% of our capacity for those rush jobs, but you'll pay 30% more.
Yeah.
And everyone was happy with it. It's great because we totally get, if it's a last minute thing, it's going to cost us more. And it meant they operated at around that 102% capacity. Everyone was
Yeah.
happy. They were more profitable, and the clients got the rush jobs when they needed it, but they thought a bit more about ordering ahead of time. And the same in your
Yes.
case, if I know I don't really need it for a month, why
Yes.
wouldn't I benefit from that? That's wonderful. Great.
Yeah. So we're actually currently running, because we haven't been aggressive in our marketing yet. We are becoming more aggressive, but up to
Yep.
now we haven't been really aggressive. We've been testing some of the workflow models of the capacity, and one of the models was, can we do more turnover? And more turnover is more profit for us. We don't
Yep.
just do turnover for turnover's sake. So I need to say that's quite important. It's not just more turnover,
Totally get
but
that.
we can do more turnover for working less days. So we now realise, if we adopt the new model, we are currently only running at about 35% capacity.
Yeah.
So we have a huge amount
Brilliant.
we can grow, and we've decided at the moment, under the current management, we never want to run to 100% capacity, because we want to live our lives. And
Yeah.
so I wouldn't say it's a lifestyle business, but we try not to work weekends, but if we have to, I'm working this coming weekend, that's fine. We try to work late nights, but if we have to, we'll work 24/7, 7 days a week. But we try and make it so we enjoy it and we don't have to. And
Absolutely. And that's not sustainable. I mean, it really isn't for anybody,
yeah,
full stop, but certainly anyone, unless you're under about 25, sorry, unless you're, under 25, you might just about be
yeah,
able to do that for a little while.
yeah.
But
In my younger days, I had a studio, and we used to work for the mail order companies back in the big Rattans catalogue day.
yeah.
We used to work for a lot of those companies, and it was very seasonal. So it'd be very quiet when they weren't doing the catalogs, and very busy because we worked for all the catalog companies, and all the work came in at once. And we actually used to run for between 3 and 6 months a year, 24/7 studio, and we used to run 3 shifts, and that used to work really well. But like you say, I'm a bit older now; it doesn't quite appeal to me. But hey, if anybody wants to do that, we'll talk about it.
Absolutely. But your point about making more with less is it's great leverage, and it does feel that your idea of being able to schedule, by having this 28-day deal, to be able to schedule more effectively,
Yeah.
is brilliant. So any other key learnings about business that you've had over the last sort of 9 months of what you've been working on?
I don't know I've been in business since I was 20, and I'm now 62. So that's
Wow.
42 years in business.
Wow.
And every time we go on a new journey, because I've had different types of businesses, but
Yes.
every time we go on a new journey, I realize, I think it's the imposter syndrome. I think I know nothing. I actually know nothing. And how did I manage to do what I did? Had we sold some of the businesses when I last spoke with you? We sold a couple of our businesses.
I think you had, yes. Yes.
Yeah. And I think, how did we manage to do that? We set up businesses that we had no experience in, grew them and sold them. I mean, there were micro businesses. They're not multi-million pound businesses. They're always micro businesses. But do you know what? If you sell a few micro businesses, it does put a few pounds in the bank and gives you a little bit of security, But Dare now is a not for sale business. However, we are going to hit another milestone. I'm 62. I want to start stepping back. I want to retire at some point. So I am now looking for the next generation
Brilliant.
to step up, and this will be the next journey, is what's next.
Yeah.
And there are some amazing people out there, unbelievably talented, far more talented than I am.
Brilliant.
And they don't have the financial resources to get going. So I suppose what I'm trying to do is look for that person. We've got a ready-made 4,000 square foot production studio, fully equipped. We're looking for, I see on LinkedIn all the time, oh, I just quit my job. I'm really scared. I've put everything I've got into setting this up. And business is a bit slow, but I'll make it work. And I'm thinking I need to find one of those people to jump into ours and just accelerate their growth,
Yep.
which will then help me to hopefully start stepping back a little bit. That's the idea. Whether I can do that or not, I'm not sure I have the skill sets to do that, to be honest with you, because again, I just seem to make every day up. Really, it's a bit
Well,
scary.
it's interesting because we, our proposition of a true business is a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without its owners, and it doesn't mean
Yes,
you can't work in it. It just means you choose what you do, whether anything
yes,
from zero to lots of things, and the biggest challenge about it, Chris, I find when working with people is it's a mindset change rather than a systems or process change. It's
yes,
changing the way we think.
yes,
Um, and that's quite fundamental, and it can come with its own set of challenges. But when we break through that, then
yeah.
all of a sudden it really leverages our time.
Do you know what the funny thing is, Chris? I've done that and sold 3 businesses in the
Yep.
last 5 years, and I've done it. And yet, with this one in my head, I believe I have no idea what I'm doing. I can't do it. So you're right. It's absolutely mindset. I've done it 3 times in the last 5 years.
Brilliant.
But like I say, this one isn't a for sale business. This is
Yes.
something we want to build and almost leave as a legacy. But it would be nice to build it in such a way that I can gradually move out of it, not just walk away from it.
I guess that's the point of the commercial profit analytics that works without us, because because it then gives us the choice of either sale, and I appreciate yours isn't for sale, and if it is for sale, it's worth significantly more than a business that is still dependent on its owners. But
Yeah,
the way more financially successful model is keep with other people running it, because then you're
yeah,
benefiting from profit way past the amount of money you would have made if you
yeah,
sold it. So it is quite a virtuous thing to do, to create a business that works without us. It's great for career aspirations for all the people around you and people that you're going to recruit. And as I say, you're taking an income from profit without needing to work on 100% of the time, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, originally Dare was, or as it was then called, 20th Century was set up because myself and my wife had 3 other businesses. One was property rental, which
Yes.
we've now sold.
Yeah.
One was a photographic studio doing school portraits. I don't know if you remember me mentioning, we did 50,000 school portraits a year.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So that was a great business, hard work, but great. And then we also had a photo lab as well, which we've now sold off. And then some of the residual of that, we've set my son up in business, and
Brilliant.
he's got a nice little business out of that one. We've helped him, but he's the one that's made it work. I don't want to take any credit for that. He's
No,
absolutely
no.
made it work. We've just given him a little nudge to get him going.
Yeah,
Um,
totally. Totally.
so yeah, but with Dare, it was set up so I can have a bit of fun, and it would be run by several other people. I just dip in and out and take a few pictures whenever I feel like it and have a great time. How unrealistic was that dream? I mean, I can't believe I even thought about doing that, because it just doesn't work like that. The overheads are too big. And maybe the model with 3 shareholding directors and associates, maybe I need to rethink that, but I've just got to get my thinking cap on. We've been concentrating on the rebrand, and now we're coming to the end of the rebrand. It's about marketing and thinking about the future.
Yes, and I think I mean what we find when we work with businesses like yours is have a start with a plan, or actually not start with a plan, start with a set of end goals. Because you mentioned you're 62, it's like what we find is quite interesting is we find most people, if they plan at all on their business, the goals are about the business. So it's like we want to get to
Yeah,
let's say 1 million or 3 million or 5 million, and when people tell me that, I know it's quite clear that those goals aren't based around their personal goals. Because if it was, it would be 972,000 or 1.62 million, or because
yeah,
that gives us what the things we want. and it starts for me with what do you want? What will be the perfect outcome in 2, 3, 5 years, and then work back from that with a plan, and then we've got a plan that other people can help us with, because that's the value of a plan. It's not that we have it, because sometimes lots of people are successful without a plan, but it does allow us more likelihood of other people being able to help us if they know what the plan is.
Yes. So,
yeah, fascinated. Absolutely. So, I mean, as we said, although it seemed like a long time, it wasn't that long ago, 9 months, but so much has happened, and it feels like you've got a really good, solid platform for which to grow and increase both turnover and, as you say, the all important profit.
I think we're in a really good place to launch properly now, and the rebrand was only completed weeks ago. It's weeks. We've been trying Google pay-per-click campaigns. We've been trying different marketing incentives. Nothing's really had any traction. Things sort of work and then they fall off a bit, and we haven't had that consistency, which we totally rely on a marketing agency to help us with that, and they've actually been. We've got an amazing relationship with Trio. Brilliant. Because we can talk honestly. Because and in fact, actually, they've rented our studio and done some shoots in our studio.
Brilliant.
So that's been quite nice as well. So we can understand them a little bit more. They can understand us a little bit more. But yeah, it's not an exact science, is it? Marketing, which is a shame, really. So it's spend this much, do this, and monitor this, and look at this, and then it sort of works, So, and what you're also competing against, we found, is huge super companies throwing huge amounts of money at marketing budgets, and on that level, we just can't compete. Yeah. So, yeah,
I think that's really important when we therefore to be clear on our niche, because the niche is what they may not. The larger companies often, not always, will be more broad, and therefore the niche bit is where we can say, look, this is specifically what we do, and maybe it becomes easier. But it's as you say, it's not an exact science. It's very much about trying things, seeing what the outcomes are, and making it work from there.
Yeah.
Going through this change has obviously been quite significant. What else have you learned about yourself over the last sort of 9 months?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I've had to go on a personal development course because I was walking in. I'm sat in our kitchen at the moment. I was walking through the kitchen one day, being a bit irritated about stuff that doesn't go my way, being a bit childish. My wife said, "Why are you always so angry?" And it absolutely stopped me in my tracks. And I thought, she's right. Because I wasn't bothering anybody. I was just walking around being angry. I don't know why. It was really childish. And it absolutely knocked me for six. And I thought, right, I've got to do something about this. So funnily enough, I went on a leadership management course for senior leadership teams. And I didn't go on it to become a better businessman. I went on it to try and become a better person and understand how I work.
Great.
Because I was very reactive. And actually now I've been on the course. It was absolutely brilliant. And everyone around me said it's changed me. Brilliant. So I've calmed down a lot more. I let the small stuff go. I don't worry about the small stuff. It just happens. I never try and change something that I can never control.
Great.
Can't control it, leave it alone. And I knew, the silly thing is, I knew this already. I already knew this. But when you're determined to do something, we were determined to get the transition through from being one company to becoming another. And I want it to happen instantly. It's not a year, it's a month. My glass was so flowing over, I became unrealistic with my own goals. And it just had to stop me and say, just stop it, calm down, start moving on with a structure and a pace. And now in the business, we had structure, but now there's more structure and we're implementing more structure. We find that helps everyone.
Great.
Also, letting go. As a small business owner, it is very, very difficult to let go because it's your baby. Even though you have other people in it as well, it's still your baby, and I'm sure it's their baby. But sometimes I just have to let things go. And if it's not quite right by my standards, we have a process now that it's not just about my standards, it's about the business standards. So I've begun that journey, and that's been quite enlightening for me because I've never operated in that way. Of course, you do get some knockbacks where things happen. Things happen, life events. Sadly, it's my brother to cancer. So I don't know if that had happened just when we spoke before, but of course, that's a massive impact on life, and it makes you think and think, stop getting upset about things.
Yeah.
I'm alive. Look, I'm great,
Yeah. 100%. I think gratitude's a really important thing to practice. It's not just a thing, it's an activity, is being grateful on a regular basis.
Yes, I think we spoke earlier, just before we started the podcast, didn't we, about isms? And so I think I've got some kind of ism, and I can't remember what you said. Optimism, you said.
Optimism, I think you said.
Optimism, yeah. And I think I had too much optimism. Is that possible? I don't know, but I think I had too much optimism and not enough realism.
I am naturally an optimist. I think the challenge with optimism is and I've had this a couple of times, a really significant fail, it can hit that confidence quite significantly. Whereas a natural pessimist just goes, well, I told you. So,
Yes.
it's not as fundamental when you have a problem when you're more pessimistic, but somewhere in the middle is realism. Is like, I often say to people, the idea that every decision we make moving forward is going to be perfect is a bit foolish. But then many people, especially pessimists, believe every decision they're going to make in the future is going to be wrong. Well, the reality is it's somewhere in the middle, and that's business, isn't it? It's
I think I'm slightly more on the optimist side, and you know what, I sort of want to stay that way because I think as well it's about handling it, isn't it? So I'll make some quite big decisions, and sometimes they fail, and it's not a problem. I've done it wrong. I've learned by it. Right, do something else. Just move on. It's really not a problem. Absolutely. I'm not scared of anything like that. If I made it, I wouldn't because of the structure we've got in place. But if I made a major decision that meant our business would shut down next week, that's all right. I'll do something else the week after. It's not a problem, is it? I'm still here. The world's not going to change, is it? Really? So it'll only change the way I want it to change when I implement what I want to do to change it. So that's all you can do, isn't it?
Absolutely brilliant. So speaking optimistically, what does the future look like for you guys? And we'll add a bit of realism. What challenges might you face, if any?
I'm trying to be realistic. We feel the market's changed this year. We feel a lot of our clients are cutting back. Many of our clients who sell high-end products are not cutting back. People with money are still spending money. That's what we found. We've also got some clients who sell lower end products, lower to medium end products, and they've found it tough, and they've had warehouses of products to clear out. Maybe they've overbought through COVID and times were good because everyone was going online. So we are looking for a different kind of client now. And actually, we've had more client wins in the last 8 weeks than we've had in the last year.
Brilliant.
Because of the way we approach people now. We don't just take pictures. We don't just do a video. What we're now trying to do is, I know it sounds a bit cheesy and a bit corny, we're trying to sell emotion.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to sell now, emotion. And to underpin that, we're trying to sell emotion, which is basically stuff that we make emotional. And we're trying to make sure whoever buys it is happy with it when they get it and they don't send it back.
Yep.
So that's a really, really simple way. A marketing person will have a much greater insight than me, but we're going to see some next week, and actually it's a UK manufacturer, and they've come to us and said, oh, we need this, we need that, sales aren't where they are, and we're starting to ask them questions about their own business, and they don't even know the answers. I'm like, do you not know the answers to that? And in my head I'm thinking, well, I'm looking at this presentation, and it's aimed at my age group, and yet I would never buy that because you've just presented it totally the wrong way.
Yeah.
And then, so when people come to us, we're a photographic studio, we're a video content production studio. The first thing we do is understand their business. We don't do anything until we understand their business. Yeah. I suppose that's marketing agency behavior, but we're not a marketing agency. So I don't quite know how other companies work. So I'm trying to reach out to other companies to say, how do you work? What do you do? Come and visit our studio. We'll visit your studio. And that's been a challenge in itself, because a lot of people, they don't want you in their building because they think you're going to nick their trade secrets. And you know what, Chris, I've got to the age now, I'm not bothered. I'll help you. If you're stuck, I'll help you. And you know what? I want to find the people who help me if we need a bit of help. And
absolutely, collaboration beats competition every hands down every time. Working together. And I mean, I've seen this obviously working with so many different types of businesses. Is that I've honestly never seen two businesses that completely overlap 100% in what they do, even if they're the same name. So even 10% is opportunity. It's 10% that we do that you don't, and 10% that you do we don't. So just talking and collaborating typically is way more successful strategy than this idea of competition and the scarcity mentality that we talk about.
Yeah, and we're going back to the fun thing. I find it more fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Businesses can be quite insular, can't they? Really, especially when you're a micro business, they become quite insular. And I'm proud to let people come into our business and say, this is how we do it. This is what's worked. This is what didn't work. Take that, enjoy that information. Brilliant. And if you'd like to share some of your information with us, please do. And yeah, you learn quite a lot. I'll tell you what I have learned though, and I don't want to sound arrogant about this, but the majority of the people that we speak to, and I've got a few who are coming up where I know they're doing stuff just a level above us or 2 levels above us, but the majority of people that come in, we're sort of doing it right, and we're sort of doing it quite well, so as well, it sort of rubber stamps what you're doing, because it can be a lonely world in business. And I've spoken to some, I mean, we don't even turn over £1 million, but I've spoken to some business owners who turn over 3, 4, 5 million pounds, and they can be quite lonely sometimes, because sometimes they don't have people who they can talk to in a really honest way, do they?
Yeah, it is really valuable, because we can't. Internally, we've got people that either just want to support us or do what we say, and I don't mean that in some sort of just naturally want to. Don't want to take it home, and I appreciate you work with family, but you don't want to take it home, because that's not, other than support, we don't really want to take our troubles home, and therefore there's nowhere potentially to take it. And talking things through is the most powerful way of solving problems. I think there was a study done quite some time ago where the brain fires about 34% more when we talk about a challenge rather than think about a challenge. And so just having that opportunity to talk through with somebody that can hopefully ask great questions is so valuable. And as you say, the bigger it gets, the lonelier it can get. And in some people's minds, I don't think in yours, but in some people's minds, that the risks are greater. The bigger we get, the more we've got to lose, sort of thing. And that's unfortunate. And it doesn't need to be like that, because the bigger we are, the more secure we can be. Not always, but the more secure we can be. Fascinating. Well, Chris, I mean, what a great journey. I'm so glad we although it was only 9 months, we've touched base again, because that's a whole bunch more learning for us to share with people that are watching. And thank you so much for your time. And again, best wishes with the rebrand's obviously gone well, and the new ideas you're putting into place. And for anyone that is watching that'd like to contact you or Dare Studios, what would be the best way to do that?
Go onto our website. Website is Dare Studios, and there's an S on Studios, because there is a Dare Studio URL out there, and that's not us. So it's darestudios.co.uk. Or they can contact me on LinkedIn, Chris Rose, or contact us through our Dare Studios LinkedIn profile as well. We try and post some behind the scenes information on there so people can see what goes on in the background. But the best thing is, just drop us a line, and we'll help you wherever we can. It doesn't mean you have to spend money with us. If you do want to spend money with us, that's even better. Everyone's a winner.
Absolutely. Well, as I say, it'd be great to probably swing by again in another 6-9 months and just catch up on the next stages. But for now, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's been lovely speaking with you.
Yeah, thank you.